serious question now. We often hear as working moms that we feel better when we're out in the working place doing something. For most of you, that is true. If you can express to our people that are here tonight, how did you come to that conclusion? And we'll start at the end with Tamsin.
You know, I was so focused on the first question, I didn't really hear what you just...
Every day. We have sex every day is my answer.
I'm the only single woman up here, so I probably have a better answer than some.
All right, you got me there, Tamsin.
So what was the question again?
The question is that we often hear that as working mothers, we feel better to be out in the workplace. How did you come to that conclusion? Because for everybody, it's a bit different.
You know, it's funny, preparing for this session, I realized I hadn't really given much thought to being a working mom versus not being a working mom. I just have kind of always had a job and didn't really think about it. For me, the biggest challenge is just feeling good every day when I wake up and trying to be positive and happy and feel like I'm in the right place. And I think for me, that's what grounds me as a parent. If I'm not fulfilled and not inspired, then I'm really grouchy. And right now, working is working for me, but it wasn't really a conscious decision. I just kind of need to pay the mortgage, and here I am.
Robbie?
Yeah, so sort of a similar concept. My first thought was working is part of who I am. So when I had kids, it didn't occur to me to stop working. And what was actually the bigger challenge was realizing, wow, I feel differently about a lot of things now that I have a child, and then as I had, you know, a second and then a third child, and trying to figure out what my new definition of work would be. It was never about whether I would work or not work, but much more about how much I would work and what kind of work, and how I would continue to build my career. And the things I get out of work, I mean, the biggest thing for me is just energy. I find working, being out, brainstorming, working on new ideas with other people is really energizing. And I come home after a day of work feeling a lot better about connecting with my kids and with my husband. And I also really find it important to contribute to our household income. And that's another piece that is really valuable to me and feels good. And it's just fun. I mean, it's fun to get dressed and to have an excuse to take off the t-shirt and put on clean clothes every now and then. So that's been another plus, an excuse to shop a little.
Jody?
I'm one of those people that has to do something to learn it, kind of unfortunately. So I tried every way. I tried staying home for 2 years. I tried working 2 days a week, 3 days a week, 4 days a week, and full time. And I think what I learned through all of it is if I'm happy equals my family happy. And so it used to feel selfish to me to say that, but it's absolutely true. If I'm happy and I'm fulfilled, I see it reflected in my kids and my family.
Yeah. Holly?
I think it might be in my gene pool, actually. You know, my mom worked, my grandmother worked, my great-grandmother was a suffragette. You know, I think it would be really, really challenging for me to stay home full-time. And I think you kind of have to be honest about you know, what your makeup is, your genetic makeup, because there are some people definitely who are very fulfilled staying at home, and others of us who just kind of go nuts, and that's why I'm really grateful that I'm a mom at a time where you can have a little more of the smorgasbord approach, which is, you know, a mix, a nice little variety, which for me is what works and what I find satisfying.
Cindy?
So for me, you know, I love what I do. It's a big part of defining of who I am. So I knew that I wanted to do that, but the big struggle for me was balancing, you know, a family and my career, because I love being a mom. I mean, I love that part. So I'm one of those who went from full-time, very intense working hours to trying part-time. Didn't work for me, and now I'm in a job share, and it's working beautifully.
I think for me, I stayed at home for 5 years, and I constantly questioned that choice. When am I going to get back into my new chapter? What's the next thing for me? And when we started writing our book, it really, it kind of threw me for a loop. And I tried to kind of slide it into my life and hope that no one would notice that I was working. Like my husband wouldn't be affected by it, my kids wouldn't be affected by it. It would just be
She lied a lot.
it would be this really great experience that no one would really notice. That my stay-at-home mom attitude would be the same, and I failed at it. And once I realized that I really did enjoy what I was doing, I enjoyed the process, I enjoyed working. I let go of a lot of that. I made peace with it, and then I was really a happier person, and my kids were happier for it. So,
For me, I had a PR career full-time up until I had my first baby, Sam, and I had this picture in my head that I would always work, that of course I would. I would go back and I would work for myself, and I would be able to balance it beautifully. And what happened is when I started working, I thought, well, maybe I want to stay home now, and it was my husband's expectation of me that sort of threw me for a loop. Like he said to me, well, Amy, you're not who you are to me unless you're working. And I thought, oh my God, it made me completely question what I was doing. And I had to go full circle and kind of come to peace with the fact that going back to work after having kids was something I truly wanted to do, and I had to make it work in the best way for me. So that was my struggle.
Dawn?
I like working. I always have. I'm kind of a manic juggler, and that's been my personality for a long time. I know my sister's in the audience, and she'll attest to that. But you always worry about, or I guess I worry about, what does that mean to my kids? Are they going to respect that? Or, you know, when I'm gone, what does it mean to them? And the other day, I actually was thinking about what I was going to say, and I overheard a play date. And so Jacob, my oldest, said to his friend Maxwell, "Hey, do you know the Gap, Maxwell?" And he said, "Yeah, I have pants from the Gap." And he said, "Yeah, my mom used to run the Gap." And Maxwell, to his credit, turned around and said, "Yeah, I think my mom runs Williams-Sonoma." So I'm now listening. I'm like, well, this is kind of interesting. Where are they going to go? And Jacob says, "Yeah, but now she does Mother's Tract. It's got helpful tips. Your mom might like it." I was like, okay. And that was it. And I realized that they knew that their moms had something that there was their own. It kind of validated everything that sometimes I feel guilty about. So it was a great overchange to hear.
Thanks, Dawn.
For me, the answer to the question has really fluctuated a lot over time. And if you'd asked me before I had kids, I always thought I would be a working mom. No question. I'd spent a lot of years building a career and building my education. But when I found out I was pregnant with triplets, all bets were off. I mean, I had no choice. And I think for me, the decision was a lot easier because there was no question that in order to be a good mom, I needed to stay home full time. And so I did, and it was an incredibly joyous time. I stayed home for 3 years. At about the 3-year mark, I felt like I had some additional time in my schedule. My kids were in school 5 days a week, and I really started to miss the sense of achievement that I got out of work. And I also thought it was really important for my kids to see me working, especially my daughters. And so I transitioned back to work, and didn't realize how much I missed doing it. So I think going forward, that the answer to that question is going to continue to change as my personal life and my family life changes. But it's been a really good thing for me the last few years.
All right, thank you, Catherine.